back and we're in the new studio. Hey, we got some fucking botany going on in here. We got Anthony in here. Mm-hmm. We got a special guest. We got David Slack. We got myself, Mr. Cuzzy Wuzzy Chudsy Wubsy. Mm-hmm. And I just recently had my entire upper body manscaped. Sorry. I'm feeling smooth. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling lightweight, dude. Aerodynamic. I fucking work outside in the sun, so I've been outside in the sun since about 6 a.m. Got out of the sun at about 6 p.m., so I'm fucking roasted and toasted, dude. I don't know if you guys can see this on the video, but I have a clear tan line right here.
Well, and you're on my arms. Good. Ooh. You look like if you jumped in a pool right now, you could just shake off and dry.
Oh, God. Fucking, yeah, I know. I'm feeling smooth, dude. So anyways, man, you guys already know what it is, man. This is the fucking last week out. This is episode 22.
22.
Damn, dude. Episode 22.
I'm the deuce.
Right. You're the deuce.
In the back of my car.
And we got a sponsor here.
That's funny because I deuced in the back of a car once, and we talked about that a couple episodes back. You should backlog and listen. I think it's a good time. You'll enjoy it.
I think you will.
So, yeah, we got some sponsors here, dude. You heard a nice little lo-fi banger coming from Mr. Devin Hancock, dude. And that's our intro music. But also, Mr. Hancock, dude, does a whole lot of shit with his hand and his cock, dude. And he fucking makes beats and edits videos, and he does some mixing and some mastering, and he's a fucking cute kid, dude. So check him out on Instagram. We got some dope banners, some dope artwork, dude, and that's from the one, the only, the talented Miss Sissy Art, dude. Ooh. So fucking holler at her on Instagram if you want some dope shit, dude. I mean, if you're cool, you'll do it, but if you're not, then I guess you won't, and that sucks for you, to be honest. Because here's the thing, dude. The only way your life is going to rip is if you got cool artwork in your fucking house. That's just what it is. And apparently my dad's been commenting on the videos telling me to curse less. And you know what?
Pops.
Well, it's not just your dad. My mom, some other people, they've asked for a little less F-bombs.
All right, we're gonna do a little less F-bombs, dude. But even though we're going to do less F-bombs, this podcast,
we're dropping deuce.
Dude, this podcast is still going to rip, my family. I'm telling you, dude. It's going to rip, dude. So, all right, we got Butt Out e-cigs, dude. They supply all our vaping needs. You can see it right here, dude. Guess what? Last week out promo code, I got 20% off this. I actually didn't buy this here. I bought this in San Francisco last week. But if I wasn't in San Francisco and the need for vaping equipment or mechanics, dude, I would have went to fucking buttouteCigs.com. And guess what? What in the heck would I have done, Anthony, once I got to that site?
If you go on that site and you write last week out in the promo code, you're going to get 20% off your entire order. So Chad lost out probably on like $6.
You could have been in San Francisco, ordered it from the website, and it would have been there the next day.
You got an extra cup of coffee with that. Easy.
Hey, guess what? Don't care, okay? Oh. I was in the fucking gay area, and I needed some fucking nicotine, so that's what I did, bro.
He needed to suck something in the gay area.
I needed to suck something in the gay area.
Something that tasted good.
And we've digressed.
And we have digressed once again, dude. Once again. So we got a special guest, and every guest is special because we're going to do a real special thing here. And he walked in the house and started saying some crazy shit. He's been saying some crazy shit. So this thing's going to fucking rip, my guys. I'm telling you right now. And that man's name is Lee. And I'm not sure, dude. You got a little bit of Asian in you?
Yeah, my mom's Korean.
Oh, I could feel. Korean.
Oh, very, very good.
Oh,
very, very
good.
This
is going to be good podcast. When you say when you do any kind of like Japanese or Korean, it's very guttural.
I feel like if you guys stop
you can call me the Meech. Call me the Meech. I like
you could do welcome to the last week of the podcast, and that's more of a Russian thing, and we're not going to really get into that. But anyways, dude, I'm going to pass it over to fucking Mr. Sir Anthony Tatum, and he's going to take the wheel from here, and you guys might actually learn something instead of me just over here saying a bunch of crazy shit.
So, Lee,
yes,
thank you for coming. Chad is our hype man.
I can tell.
Yeah. So
Commander Cutie.
So I think that I told you a little bit about what we want to do here, and pretty much the best way to always start out for us is to get to know a little bit about you. And the best way to do that is asking where you're from. Where were you born? Are you an Arizona native?
I was born in a small village called Phoenix, Arizona.
Nice. What side of town?
I thought you were going to say
I was born at St. Luke's.
St. Luke's Hospital?
Yeah.
So you are a downtown kid.
Well, I don't know if I'm a kid, but yeah. I'm a Phoenix native, but moved around quite a bit.
Okay.
Moved around quite a bit through the 20s and 30s.
Okay, so Arcadia, any of that, or just?
I lived in Central. I grew up at like 15th and Osborne area.
So you go to Central High School?
No, actually, the family moved to Vegas when I was 17 with a fake ID, and that led to all sorts of fun
Nice.
nights at the Glitter Gulch.
Oh, I don't know anything about the Glitter
Vegas,
Gulch.
dude. Titty City, USA, baby.
I went to
Oh, boy.
Vegas for my first time with these guys in October of last year. It was an experience, man. How long were you out there?
Well, we was out. I graduated in Las Vegas in 1990.
Graduated
High school, yeah.
Okay, so what did your parents do when you were growing up? You got two parents. Were they together the entire time?
Free range parenting.
What does that mean?
Buy him a bike and sit him on the street because we don't get home till 6 p.m.
Lockheed kid.
Yeah, it was self-governed.
Okay. Did you have siblings?
I did. I have an older brother and a younger brother.
Okay. And are they still? Did they go to Vegas with you? Your older brother? 'Cause
No,
you were 17.
older brother was at U of A. Younger brother, younger brother went.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your parents though stayed together. Are they together now?
No, that was my mom took off when I was like 3.5.
Okay.
So my dad had met my mom during the Vietnam War. He got stationed in Korea as an MP, and he met my mom, who was a translator for the government. And I guess he liked the Asian persuasion, and
Well, that happened quite
Little
frequently
chicka-bow,
out there. Where a
chicka-bow.
bunch of men dispatched out there. You stay out there. You create
Hey,
connections.
before we get any further into this, try to get a little bit closer to the mic when you're talking. You can move that arm too and kind of do this.
all right.
Yeah, you want to keep it. You want to be talking in the direction of it because
All right.
you're already getting into some good stuff. So
All right.
I don't want to.
don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss a thing. So your mom took off when you were 3.5. Is that what you said?
Yeah, but they moved over and had my brother and had me.
Okay.
And then there was not a foundation in their marriage, I suppose. They how do you put it? I think my dad thought my mom married her to get over to the United States out of a war-torn country.
No shit.
And so it was a fear thing, and so they didn't have much of a foundation to build a relationship on.
Yeah.
And they decided to split, and so my mom took off and went to San Francisco actually to go to school.
Hey,
She didn't
full circle.
She didn't really have anything to build on, so she couldn't take the kids, and so that must have been really hard on her to leave, her kids behind. Usually, in American culture,
Yeah.
the woman would never separate from her kids. So I was raised pretty much by my dad, who got remarried to my stepmom, who I call my mom because since the age of really probably 5 or 6, she pretty much was the sort of the mom figure.
Yeah. No, I get that. We've had quite a few with step relationships, and it sounds like if I was tracking the conversation properly, your older brother, is he from your dad's prior relationship?
No. My older brother and myself are from
All
my
from
dad's
your own.
first marriage.
Okay.
My younger brother is from my dad's second marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
And is she Korean? Is your mom Korean? Your stepmom?
No. She's a vixen redhead. Oh boy.
So is my wife, man. We got to be careful.
Yeah, reds are crazy. Reds and hairdressers and girls named Tiffany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any visible arm tattoos? I always get scared of that. You know what I mean?
No. Me on me?
No, I mean on the ladies. You know what I mean?
Well, that doesn't. What is that? A tattoo?
I don't know. I just I think of the indie girls. You know what I mean? Like dyed hair.
Well,
what you're
that's
talking
hot.
about? Yeah, but it's dangerous, right?
No, not at all. You can't judge a book by its cover.
You were just judging a redhead by its cover.
Well, but yeah, they're redheads though.
That's a different cover.
Well, yeah, but that's red up top, red below. Oh, it's a fire.
So that's the cover and the back of the book.
Oh yeah, you can't. Don't take your green spray paint out and paint the red green, man.
All right, we're gonna write a book after
What
this.
if it's red up top but not below?
Well, then that's just dyed hair.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
different,
real.
David.
It's Photoshop. Then listen, dude. Here's the thing, Anthony. You need to understand this, dude. Is that gingers
yeah,
have no soul.
that's what I've heard that before.
They're born no heartbeat. Okay, there's nothing going on in there. It's ice cold, dude. And then people who have a little bit of red in their beard, they're partly soulless.
Okay,
Like when my beard grows out, there's a little red in there.
you start to.
So
change.
you see me, if you see me in the streets, you don't know me, you go, man, that guy's got a little bit of red in his beard. I'm not gonna fuck with him.
You know what's funny is I got red too because my dad's side it's Scottish.
I'm not gonna fuck with you.
So
if I see
I'm
it.
like,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm
what
like-
is? What was that noise?
oh, it's like the orale for Scottish people.
Oh, okay. Well, we're really doing something here.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay, let's get back to it though. So you guys are in Phoenix. You're growing up with your stepmom. How are you as a kid? What are your ambitions? Are you a good kid? Are you a bad kid?
Oh man, no. I was, like I said, free range parenting. I figured out at a pretty young age that the folks have this window from like 3 when I get off school to 6, and
That was the best window.
yeah, it was the best window. So then when they came home from work, so at a pretty young age, I was. This is a funny story. I was probably about 10 years old, and one day my stepmom gets a call. She's like, I want to talk to you about your son's behavior. When she, okay, well, what's going on? Well, my son came home and told me that your boy is charging people $1 to come to your house after school and watch pornos. I mean, this is like at the birth of pornos, right? And I had searched through my parents' closet and found their bongs and their weed and their porno, and they had it all. They had Deep Throat and Behind the Green Door and Marilyn Chambers and all the original hardcore porn stuff. And at 10 years old, I was like, hey, I can get a rake from this.
Oh, you started a little mob connection in there.
Oh yeah, I was entrepreneur from the get go, right?
Yeah, man, I really.
And then Pops had a little leather shoebox full of shitty ass weed with seeds in it. And the weed back then was just like
dirt.
It was dirt. I mean, it was the dirt of the dirt.
So did you smoke that stuff?
Oh yeah, of course.
10 at 10?
Oh yeah. And then my life, growing up, my dad would catch me, and it was like that keep your kids off drugs commercial. And Dad's like, where did you learn this? I said, I learned it from you,
watching
Dad.
you, Dad.
I learned it from you, Dad. And he'd be like, you're grounded. And I'd be like, whatever, dude, you hypocrite. Like, I have no respect. This, lead by example. So,
oh, dude, I got a niece who's 10.
Yeah.
Hide your weed better than Aunt.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, hide your weed.
Okay, so you're a little hoodlum. What are you into though? Like, were you a sports player? Were you any of that stuff?
I got into wanting to hang out with the cool kids. This was at Clarendon Middle School, I think, and Cano or Clarendon, and Cano was grade school. But by the time I got to middle school, all the cool kids were all metalheads. We were all into AC/DC and music and Maiden and stuff at a really young age. So I wanted to do what the cool kids did. And, I was more into the dark arts of metal.
Yeah, the dark arts, dude.
Yeah, so I was never into sports, BMX, skateboarding, a lot of skateboarding.
Yeah?
Really early on.
Were you goth?
No, I wasn't goth at all. My brother was kind of mod, though, like Depeche Mode and, Morrissey. And, I've never been super emo. I want to slit my wrists and listen to the Smiths or anything, but, cry my eyes out and put black eyeliner on and shit. Now I was a metalhead. And then, let's see, I bounced around a little bit. So, I would get in trouble with my dad. I would get in trouble at school because of the, pretty early exposure to, drugs and partying and trying to make a racket. And I remember at about 12, I wanted to go live with my mom in Seattle. So I figured that, I could get away with more. My dad was on to me, so I was like, I moved up to Seattle when I was 12, and
the brother stayed.
Yeah, just me. The brother stayed. I was like, hey, I want to go try living with my mom. I haven't tried it yet, and I thought, mom would be a pushover.
Well, I know that in 5 years you're going back with Dad and going back to Vegas, so this didn't work out very well.
Right? No, I didn't even take 5 years. I think it took 2 years. And excuse me. So basically, I get up there and I'm running amok.
Yeah.
And I get into alcohol, and we're bootlegging beer outside 7-Eleven at probably I'm 13 by this time. And
Were you asking people to buy it, or you're stealing it?
Oh no, we're standing outside 7-Eleven and asking people to go in and buy it for us.
Oh yeah, I love that, man.
And my first drunk was Oldie 800.
Oh yeah.
Pounded a 40, threw up all over myself. Malt liquor.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Mickey shirt today.
Yeah, rocking the 8 ball.
Yeah, we used to have Hurricane out in
40 ounce in my lap, and it's freezing my balls. I mean, this is back at the time. You got to imagine, right? Like, Licensed to Ill from the Beastie Boys came out, and it was like, what the hell is this?
Oh yeah,
right?
that was a cut.
This is like crazy shit. We're like, what is going on here, right? Mm-hmm. And we would bootleg booze, and I'd stay at friends' houses, and we'd raid their parents' liquor stores and or liquor store, liquor storage, and we would just get shit faced drunk on crappy beer. and Lucky Lager and Mickey's and just malt liquor
And dirt
whatever was
weed.
cheap and dirt weed too. Well, when you get to Washington, dude, the weed's a whole nother level.
A
Bro.
whole
Okay.
nother level. And was
Whole
your mom
nother
like
level.
a traditional like Korean woman? Like what was?
Trying to be,
Trying to be.
yeah. And I came from a really, really eclectic household, right? Like, so my mom had remarried a 100% Mexican guy, and he had all his kids. And all of his,
Holy
he was older though,
smokes, dude.
so I got a
What a
Korean mom and a
cultural-
Mexican stepdad, and I got step brothers and sisters that are fully Mexican, and so we had Korean food, and we had the tortillas and the burritos. Yeah. And but my mom didn't have any idea how to raise a rebellious teenager.
Yeah.
Like I was crazy, right? All
So-
what I wanted to do was jump my BMX
How'd
bike.
she try? Did she try? Did you get placed in any institutions, anything like that?
I mean, it kind of got into school, and again sought out the the cool kids who were doing the metal music thing and riding bikes. Fucking rains all the time in Seattle, right? So I'm up in school, and we're sneaking out of school to smoke cigarettes across the street, and we're it's hanging out with my friends as much as possible. And so
You drinking in school?
no, not drinking in school.
40 ounce in my lap, and
Before
it's freezing
school.
my ball.
Yeah.
Ball.
My ball.
Surprise! Lee's got one ball.
My ball. I'm Lance Armstrong, by the way. But props to Lance, too. It takes a lot of courage to step down from such a large corporation. It does take a lot of ball to do that.
So where we were at was you weren't drinking in school. You're going back and forth. Institutions, really, she didn't place you in.
Yeah, it was a
like,
really weird
treatment.
situation happened. Like, I remember one night we did I'm staying at my buddy Mark's house. He's staying at my house, so we could go out to a house party. And we went to the house party, and I think somehow we got a fifth of wild turkey. I don't remember how we got it. This house party just gets out of control. This guy's parents left town. He lived in a pretty nice house, and he was probably expecting 50 people, and about 250 showed up and just started punching holes through the wall and smashing the windows, and it turned into mayhem.
There was fires.
So he had to call the cops. The cops come. Everybody scrambles, and me and my buddy ride off on our BMX bikes, and we got this fifth of wild turkey, and we're like, well, let's just hang out in this abandoned lot and drink this booze since we have it. And so we did that until we were just sick and passing out, and we wake up at 4 a.m, middle of winter. Freezing cold. It's raining on us. We're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Let's go back to his house. We go back to his house, and his mom's like, what the hell? She knows we're all fucked up. She's like, crash it out the next day. So the next day she searches his room, finds a bong under his bed,
Yep.
calls my mom.
Never fun.
He lies his way out of it and says, it wasn't even mine.
Are you sitting by
it
the
was
phone while
Lee's.
she's calling your mom?
No. I mean, this was a couple days later, and she tells my mom. My mom assumes I'm a drug addict, so she calls the school and tells them my son's using drugs. And thanks, mom.
Yeah.
So they put me all through all that.
It's a
Psych
fucking
college.
plant, mom.
Yeah. So it wasn't even my bong. I was like, what the fuck? It's not even my bong.
Right.
So she put me into this, drug class, and that's what I think. God, I probably went to first drug counseling stuff at 13 years old or something. I was in these drug groups.
That's where you met your connections, right?
And then so you meet
Yep.
more people who do more shady shit, but I figured out. So I was on piss test basically from the age of probably 13
Yep.
to the age of 18.
They used to pull you out of like fourth period to do that? or
No,
what?
they were really dumb about it.
What do you mean?
Well, they didn't have like the home test kit, but you would know like when you're scheduled to go each month.
Okay.
So I had figured out like
You
well, I
got
can
the good chemistry, figure out what
No,
you can
I
do.
just you
and-
can drink a coffee cup of vinegar, and it makes your piss so acidic they
Yeah.
can't see anything. So I smoked pot the whole time, just getting lit, Visine before you go home and stuff like that, trying to not get caught.
Man, that's so crazy to think that instead of not smoking weed, you'd rather just slam some vinegar.
Dude, it's brutal.
It is
You
brutal.
should try it someday.
No, I
Drink a cup of it. It leaves
I
a
think-
film in
I'm
your
try-
mouth that's
I'm trying
just
to think of
disgusting.
the other things
I
I've
do
seen
I
people
do
do.
shots of apple cider vin, dude, all the time in the morning, dude. That shit
Yeah.
gets me fucking. Ooh, it's 4 a.m. It's time to get up.
Coffee
a
cup's
shot of
different.
apple cider vin.
Oh, whee.
Okay, so take me to the adulthood. When do you move out of mom's
Well,
house?
that shit doesn't work, right? It's too controlling. It's mom doesn't know how to deal with me. I moved back to my folks' house. At this time, they relocated from 15th and Avenue in Osborne up to a neighborhood up on the Mountain Preserve. which is ironic because it's where I live now. I bought a house in the same neighborhood I kind of grew up. So when I came back at 15. I should also probably say that, when I was up there living, like, Kill 'Em All had come out, and that shit changed me.
I don't know what that is.
Metallica, Kill 'Em All.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I was into Maiden and AC/DC and, Sabbath and all this stuff, but then I heard Kill 'Em All, and I was like, oh my God, this is it.
This
This is a game changer.
Yeah, I've met a couple of guys like that.
And, so I was just super deep into metal then, and Metallica had become my thing, old Metallica. And I moved back at 15, and, we're in this new neighborhood, and I'm riding down the hill to go to Shadow Mountain High School to register, and there's this dude with huge fucking hair, and he's got Metallica playing. He's got literally a boom box, a ghetto blaster, bungee cord to his handlebars of his BMX bike. I'm riding my BMX bike down the hill to go to school to register, and he's got this new Metallica album. I never heard it. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, this is new Metallica, man. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit, because I'm their number one fan, and if that was out, I would know.
Right.
And he's like, this came out today. And so I was just, me and this guy just hit it off. He was playing Garage Days, right, their cover album. And me and him went to school. We registered. We hit it off. I go back to his house. His mom, was actually active in AA, but had have a long, tumultuous history of just getting fucked up and abandoning her kids. So, my buddy Jason, who's now gone, and lost him to, he shot himself in the head.
Holy shit.
Yeah, as he was my best friend for years and years and years, and he it's kind of a longer story, but he had 10 years sober, actually through the prison system, got sober from a crazy story and history there. But he got out, and he was sober about 10 years, and had to get a couple knee surgeries, and he went back out on opiates. On the pain pills.
Yeah.
And he started picking up again, and eventually lost his houses and his cars and his surfboards and, his girl, and his life was shit, and he ended up shooting himself in the face.
Holy fuck,
yeah,
dude.
that kind of, and that's a tough story. And there's a lot of irony in that too, because at around the same age in my dad's life, my dad's best friend was a college gymnast, and had snapped his neck on the trampoline, so he was crippled his whole life. They said he'd never walk again, and he did with much struggle, but as his body deteriorated, he didn't want to deal with it. And my dad's best friend actually ended up taking his life by pistol too.
About the same age that...
Yeah, about the same age that we were when about in their late 30s.
Late 30s.
Early 40s or whatever. But so I got off subject with that. But
No. It's right, though. Like, so that was your good buddy back in high school.
Yeah, but I had met him, and he was the metalhead partier type, and his mom was free range parenting too. She was like, we lived in this big fancy house up on the mountain preserve, and she's like, this whole other side of the house, she's like, just have it, don't make a mess out here. So we would just be back in his room, and she would let us do whatever we want. So we got into the meth, and we got into the acid and the shrooms and the pot, and this is about 15 years old. Yeah. I think the first time I was smoking meth on tinfoil was probably 15.
Damn, dude.
Taking such a big hit and trying to hold it in so long that I'm passing out, and I actually fell on his vanity in his bathroom once because I held it in so long I passed out, and I smashed my ribs on his vanity, woke up with bruised ribs. I was like, why didn't you hold me up, asshole?
You were like this.
Okay. And same here. So sorry, Mom and Dad, but yes, I was doing those exact same things at 15.
Yeah, so but he had more drug connects because I had just moved back. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So he's we were getting some cheap dirt weed, and school starts, and I'm like, hey, I can scratch together like $100, and I'm like, let's get an ounce. So we get an ounce, and I'm like, I wrap them all up in joints. We smoked Marlboro, so we had a lot of empty Marlboro packs. So I took like 50 joints to school and a couple of Marlboro packs, and I'd sell them at lunch break to all the kids, and I'd be like, oh, this is great. I can sell these shitty dirt weed joints, and I would re-up every day until I built up more and bought a QP, and then I eventually I was going to be the drug czar of Shadow Mountain High School.
You're a hometown hero, dude.
Oh yeah, and then and that went well until it didn't.
Yeah,
we would hang out in the back alley over at Shadow Mountain, and I guess we were getting cased. So one morning before school, and I'm doing my distributions. I got a sack of weed down my pants.
Yeah, just working.
And we take off, and we're kind of driving around the block to school, and all these undercover cops storm us and grab us, rip us out of my buddy's truck,
Nice.
slam us up against the hood of the car, and he reaches his hand down my crotch, and I'm like, "What are you doing? You pedophile fuck! You can't do that. I'm a kid. What are you doing? You can't grab me in the dick."
Yeah, he wasn't
And he
hearing
pulls
that.
out this bag of weed. And what's this? And I'm like, that's for personal use. He's like, well, why is it all in 8th size baggies? Like, why are there,
Because I'm type A and
12
very organized.
Yes,
okay?
I'm
There's-
like, that's
these are medication times.
That's rationed. That's my ration to get me through the day of this stressful 15-year-old existence.
and you know what, officer? How do you know what an 8th looks like?
Yes, but I'm at this point I'm a kid and I haven't had any real, but I'm a rebel and I'm think I'm a tough guy until the cops drive me away. He's like, hey, Phoenix has these laws where if you're within 300 yards of a school, you're selling drugs.
Yeah.
It's a class 3 felony. It's
Damn.
not like some possession thing.
Did it stick?
Well, yeah, it was like he had me quivering lip and crying in the cop car. Oh, my life's over. So, we get out and I, you know how that stuff goes. I go back home. The parents are super pissed. They had to go in front of the school board up there at Shadow Mountain and get just reprimanded by the whole place. Your kid's a bad kid.
Yeah.
And I got expelled from that school district. So I'd missed almost a year of credits in high school.
What were you, like a junior?
I think it was 10th. I think it was 10th grade. I think it was a
sophomore.
year after that. So yeah, sophomore. So yeah, I missed almost my whole sophomore year because of that. But I got put, and they put you on task, and I'm going through trouble with the law, and I got put on probation and kicked out of that school district. Had to go to Horizon was the next closest school, so I had to commute every morning, ride the city bus to catch But I got to Horizon and everyone there was a rocker. Everyone at Shadow Mountain was like jocks, it seemed like.
Okay.
And everyone at Horizon was like metalheads like me, and the chicks were like, "Holy crap! What did I just hit pay dirt? This is the greatest." What are you doing? You pedophile fuck.
That's a good drop right there.
Yeah. So you get to Horizon, and I'm like, "Oh my god! Every chick's smoking hot Scottsdale chick."
Yeah, it was a win.
So I thought it was a win, but
Well, West Scottsdale, not like
yeah,
Scottsdale.
David's
Yeah.
a North Scottsdale guy.
So it was a little tough, but I learned to play the game. But before we got to that point, there was I was still about 15. I'm kicked out of school. I'm at home, and I don't want to do shit. Now I don't have to go to school, so I'm like, cool, this ain't so bad. My parents will leave this to work, and well, my dad still was smoking pot. He still had weed, but now I'm kicked out of school for selling weed. So, they would take off, and I remember when I was in my room smoking weed one night when he got home from work, and he came in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting stoned. I'm in my room. I'm not out roaming the streets doing it." And he didn't like that very much. He searched my room, found some stolen car stereos and some bottles of wine, and he found some shit. He got pretty pissed. He kind of grabbed my throat and slammed me into the wall and punched me in the face pretty hard. And I was like,
shit.
Shit.
You got up against that dad strength right there.
And I was like, well, I'm out.
Uh-huh.
Deuce. Deuce is
episode deuce
I'm out of
deuce.
here.
Episode deuce, dude.
And waited till they were bed. I jumped out the window, packed a bag. It was the middle of winter, Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
And
So
beautiful.
70 and nice.
So
no, the nights are bitter cold here. It was bitter cold, and I'm like, I'm out. I was and I would just sleep on friends' floors. I remember for a week I slept in a friend's Winnebago, his dad's Winnebago, and he's like, be quiet. And I was cooking top ramen in his dad's Winnebago, and I was like, fuck this, I'll live on the streets. I did for about a month. But I would just break into a house or break back into my parents' house, or and I would frequently break back into my parents' house and steal
Holy
liquor
shit,
out of their
man.
liquor cabinet.
You're a menace, dude.
Yeah, I was bad, and so I remember one time there was a house up by Roadrunner Park at 36th Street in Cactus at the Snell's house. So we used to go there and party like crazy as young kids. And I remember I had broken into my parents' house, stolen a handle of a half gallon of vodka, and I took it to this party and just get fucked up. Well, I'm homeless, so I get hungry. I still had my bike.
Yeah.
I had my backpack full of my clothes or whatever I had, possessions at the time. And my brother was working at the streets in New York. It's still there, I think, at 32nd Street in Cactus.
Okay.
So he would pass me sandwiches out the back if I ever went and banged on the
What
door.
a good brother, dude.
At the, you know, when they were closing, and he would pass me whatever sandwiches didn't get used. And so I was, you know, riding through the park, and I run into some guys that kind of were acquaintance stuff, but I'm all fucked up and shooting my mouth off. And these 3 guys try to steal my bike, and I'm like, man, motherfucker, you ain't taking my bike. So we're fighting now. And I'm fighting with one of these dudes pretty hard, and the kid pulls out a knife, like not like anything big, but it's like a little 3 or 4 inch blade.
Yeah.
And we're rolling around in the dirt, and he's trying to stab me, and I'm trying to get the knife away from him. And he keeps switching hands, and I keep grabbing his other hands, and eventually he gets me.
Where?
He gets me right here at the top of the thigh. Just it goes in a couple inches.
Oh, that could have hit a creedle right there.
Yeah. So I got a gash that's a couple inches on my right thigh. So I'm like, I'm homeless. I don't want my parents to catch me. So I'm wasted. I grab my bike. I get away from the dude. You know, I'm like, fuck off. And I ride off. And by the time I ride through the park and get to the Bashes right there, or the Safeway, whatever the grocery store was on the corner, my pant leg is just covered in blood.
Yeah, you're bleeding out.
So I'm like, well, I got no money. I'm a runaway. I'm shit faced to the wind. So I go in and I try to be real inconspicuous. And I walk in and I grab some. I go to the
medical
pharmacy area, and I grab some gauze and some Neosporin, some butterfly Band-Aids, and I'm like stuffing them in my Levi jean jacket. You know, the one with the like fake sheepskin on the back.
Oh man.
You know, I had all my patches on it and shit, Metallica and whatever, AC/DC or whatever, and big fuck you on the back that I wrote with a Sharpie.
Oh, that made you super approachable.
Oh yeah. So I grabbed this stuff, and obviously by the time before I make the door, the security guards grab me.
Jesus.
I left a bloody footprint through the door.
Yeah, you're easy to track.
So they slam me in the back, and they're like, "You're going to jail again." And I'm like, "Fuck," He's like, "What's your name?" I'm just out here on my own. You don't need my name. I wouldn't give them any information. So they didn't prosecute because they felt bad for me.
Yeah, no shit.
I was like, "Look, man,
out.
I don't have any money. I'm bleeding out here. I'm just trying to fix my wound, And they called the cops. The cops came and got me. I wouldn't give them any information either. They took me to Durango juvie or whatever.
Yeah.
And eventually got me to say who I was. They got a hold of my folks somehow, and my folks let me sit in there for a few days just in kind of solitary. They said keep them in solitary, let them learn a lesson. And my pop came and picked me up, and driving home, he didn't say a word to me. I go, "Where are we going?" He's like, "We're going home." And by the time we're halfway there, I'm like, "This ain't the way home." So he actually took me to my first treatment center at 15, where I learned.
Let's stop there. Hold on. We got to take a break. We're at like 30-something minutes. That's perfect. Your first treatment center. So we're going to take a quick break. After this, we're going to pick up at the treatment center, and then we're going to get into some post, degenerateness.
Okay.
Behavior. If there is
I'm
some.
still 15 in this story. So.
We'll be right back.
Good evening, my friends. It's Commander Cutie, Mr. Chudsy Wubsy from the Last Week Out podcast, and we've got some exciting news for y'all. Over here at the Last Week Out podcast, we are produced by Slack Media LLC, and they have a special promotion going on right now. If you are a two-legged Homo sapien or a millennial who just had a meaningful conversation and have the urge to put it on the internet, we're just the people for the job. We record, edit, and update and post. Update and post. What the fuck is update? Why did I say update?
You can update stuff.
I guess you can update stuff. Listen, dude, you want to fucking do a podcast? Guess what? We're the ones that can do it for you. We can edit, mix, master, and produce the whole thing, and we can help you figure out, do you know what an RSS feed is? Because I sure didn't when I started this, but because of Slack Media, now I do. So if you have a podcast and you want to get it started and you want to skip all the difficult stuff, go ahead and email slackmediallc@gmail.com, god damn it, dude. Or you can slide in our DMs at the Last Week Out on Instagram. Get on in there. Love you. Bye. we back, and we back,
And we back.
and we back
Again.
And if you're paying attention to this video, you will see that there is no longer a plant sitting right here. That's because it was never real to begin with, and it is a simulation just like life itself. Nothing is real. Space is not a real thing. NASA is
like
fake.
The Matrix.
And
Flat
that's-
Earth.
Yes, the
Lizards.
only thing flat earthers have to fear is sphere itself. Anyway,
It's a fucking plant, Mom.
It's just a fucking plant, Mom. Okay, so please don't freak out on me. All right, it's just CBD, Mom. I swear. All right, we're back, dude, and we're hearing some wild stories, dude. Lee's life ripped when he was 15, dude, and I can't even imagine when did you eventually get sober?
Oh, that took years and years and years. That was my first treatment, 15. But to move a little quicker and not go through so many years of depravity, I did bounce around a lot. I moved to Vegas, like I said before, at 17 with a fake ID. That led to no good, But it was a lot of fun doing no good.
I like that.
Eventually led into the meth leads to coke and
That's
cooking up.
That's definitely
Cooking up.
backwards.
Yeah,
It's
well,
usually coke
cooking
first, then
up,
the
and
meth.
then it leads to I want to use some heroin like the cool kids, and we're in bands and playing out at clubs and doing the whole Vegas scene and fucking every stripper in town and just gross shit like that. But at about I'm probably now by my early 20s, and I decided I didn't like my job. I was working at some telemarketing company, and I got my girlfriend at the time pregnant. She was 18 or 19. She's like, "What are you doing? You pedophile fuck." Oh, well, yeah. So, age of consent, asshole. But so she gets Prager's, and she's like, "I'm pro-life, and we're having it." And then, and I gave her the whole, look, I don't want to be at that. I'm not in love with you. I'm not going to stop chasing other girls around. I'm not done partying. I'm not ready for this responsibility. I'll throw you down a flight of stairs.
Oh my
I'll
god!
literally-
That went from honesty to like
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad,
fear-monger.
right? Super self-centered to the nth degree. And I ran away. I said, well, I'm strung out. I'm on drugs. I hate my job. My roommates suck. And I had some buddies that lived in Huntington Beach that had come and stayed with me in Vegas. They're like, dude, come to Huntington Beach and surf. And I was like, so I went out and I visited, and I spent about a week with them and started surfing. And because I always loved to skateboard and snowboard, and surfing was just, the next transition. So I spent a week in Huntington Beach. They lived right on the PCH. They lived on 10th Street, and the PCH and the balcony overlooked the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great place. And it was 10 blocks from the pier on Main Street, and it was mayhem back in that was probably the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I had super long hair when I went out there. Down to my waist. And I'd had, my whole, since I was, 13, I had long hair, metalhead. I go to Huntington Beach. I start learning to surf. I literally shave my head out there. I shave all my hair off. I I go back home, and I tell my roommates, I'm leaving in 30 days. I'm moving to Huntington Beach because obviously being a surf bum is going to fix all my problems.
Yeah.
So I load up my shit. I tell my roommates I'm out. I pack up my truck. I drive to Huntington Beach.
What about the girl with the kid?
I said,
Bye.
I said,
Deuce.
Yeah. Dude.
I said, deuces.
Well, have you
later.
ever heard from her since?
No, I told her, look, I'll be there for my kid because I want to, but I'm not gonna marry you over this. She thought it was gonna be a
Yeah.
trap a Negro, and it didn't work.
So where's the
These
kid now?
bitches are so upset.
What's that?
Where's the kid now?
He lives in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a 24-year-old son, super successful, owns his own home, bought his first home at 19. I don't know how he turned out that way, but
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's great. He's married and doing his thing, and he's super hardworking and good with money and responsible. And I don't know how he got it, but so I moved to Huntington Beach, and back you just you meet people and you get into the party scene and the clique and you're surfing and I was homeless for a couple months in Huntington Beach too when I got kicked out of that place because my roommates said, hey, we're going to have the carpets cleaned, so get all your shit off the floor. Well, I just blew them off and left the house, and they went into my room to throw all my shit into a pile, and behind my stereo they found just tons of empty balloons
Yeah.
and burnt spoons and shit, and they're like, dude, you got to go. You're a fucking drug addict. So they throw me out of that place. I'm homeless for a couple months. I didn't mind. I was summer in Huntington Beach. I was sleeping in Bolsa Chica State Park. I learned the sprinkler schedule, so I knew when to roll up my sleeping bag. I was like, oh, this is great. This is like camping, surfing, not paying rent, and living out of my Jetta, Volkswagen Jetta. And, the drug use got more and more and more until eventually some stuff from the past from Vegas came and haunt me because the federal marshals came and got me one day, and they were like, you have charges from this telemarketing company you worked at in Las Vegas. So the FBI kind of has an indictment for you. So I go to, court, and they put me on pretrial services. So they're piss testing me now every week. Or is it every month? It's probably, I can't remember how often.
Too many times.
But, at this point I'm smoking crack and I'm smoking weed and I'm, using heroin every day. So I can't stop. So I remember pulling into the parking garage at this federal building to go take this piss test with this pretrial guy, and I'm smoking, crack and heroin before I go into this thing, and I'm delusional. I'm like, well, maybe they won't know. Maybe because it's so close they won't catch it.
Yeah.
Well, I piss dirty every time.
Uh-huh.
I finally go back to Vegas to go to this arraignment hearing, and the judge is like, hey man, you're a drug addict, and they're like, you're a flight risk and you're not getting out. So I go from there to county. I'm like, aren't you going to let me go secure my property? Like, I've got stuff. And, by this time I had rented a room in some apartment, and he's like, nope, you can sit here. So, I go through this whole spiel. I was actually, total amount of time, not all in county, but I was, sometimes in a federal halfway house. And I remember I was in county for a period of time, Z85 holding tank in downtown Las Vegas. And the jail was so overcrowded, I never got out of the holding tank for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It was brutal. And so I'm kicking heroin in this downtown Las Vegas holding tank.
That's an ugly scene.
And I mean, it's like one bowl. This room's made for 40 guys. There's 80 guys in this thing. There's one steel bowl in the corner, and I'm kicking, and I'm literally hugging this steel bowl where 40, 50 guys, 80 guys are shitting, and I'm puking and shitting and diarrhea out my ass, and it sucked because the worst part of it was every time they would come in to restock the toilet paper, the biggest black dudes in the place would go grab the toilet paper for their pillows.
Yeah.
So there was no toilet paper, and it was brutal, man. If you ever want to have a truly demoralizing experience, try to kick in that room.
I'm gonna live vicariously through you.
Yeah. So it wasn't.
You paint a nice picture.
Yeah. So I mean, they eventually released me to this halfway house across the street for this federal holding halfway house, and I get out to the halfway house, and I'm a drug addict. They're like, well, it's a halfway house, so you got to work to pay rent to stay. I'm like, I'm fucking gonna go work to pay to be here. The court said I have to be here. But like, no, you have to. So they give me a bus token. They said, go find a job. So as soon as they let me out, obviously I go pick up.
I'm actually a cat.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
I go pick up. I come back. They're like, well, we're going to piss test you. And I'm like, well, fuck. Okay, maybe they won't find it again. Well, the pretrial officer that now they transfer me to for Vegas causing you to piss dirty again. You're going back into county. I got honest. I'm 25 years old at this time. And I'm under federal indictment for wire fraud and money laundering. So I go to the guy's office. He says, we're going to put you back in. And I couldn't be in county again. I was like, so I got honest. I was like, look, man, I'm a drug addict. And if you let me out of that place, I'm going to use it. He got me into Salvation Army. So it's 25 years old. I went to my second treatment center.
Yeah.
I went to Salvation Army, and I actually clicked a little bit. I got off hard drugs. I started going to NA. I started spending a lot of time in the rooms of recovery, and it started to click with me. I started to have an experience. But, once those charges, they take these voice exemplars where they record your voice and they make you read a script because they had wiretapped this room.
Oh, okay.
They had wiretapped this room, and that's where this indictment came from. And so they record you. They send off the tapes to Washington, D.C. FBI headquarters to have run through all these machines and computers and shit. And it comes back to evidence is like 0.2% chance to be me. So they say, well, we're dropping the charges. So I'm not a felon. I'm acquitted, never convicted.
Was that luck?
Well, I knew the person that was on the tape,
but it wasn't
when
you.
I heard it, but it wasn't me.
Oh, so yeah.
So I was just like, hey, it ain't me. So it's got to come back. They didn't have enough evidence to prosecute. So that, I get off. Now I'm 25. I've got $200 to my name. My mom, back in Seattle, said that, I could stay in the apartment under her house if I worked and went to school. I could rent the apartment from her. So the girlfriend I had at the time was from Huntington Beach, and we we drove back to Huntington Beach to pick her shit up, and we stayed at my tattoo artist's house, and his roommate was on house arrest for DUI, and he had about 20 cases of Budweiser stacked up in the kitchen. I remember this day vividly. Like he said, you know, because I'd been sober about 9 months then, and he he said, "Do you want a beer?" And I said, well, alcohol's not my problem. And I remember looking at my girlfriend, and I was like, you think I could? You think I should? And she's like, well, if you could handle it. Those were her words, and I handled it.
You're like, oh yeah.
And that's when I cross addicted right into alcohol. And the drinking went on for years.
Hard.
Yeah, and I wrote it hard. But I did. It was manageable, right? I was functioning, and the alcoholism
Less unmanageable.
Yeah, so I go up to Seattle. I actually do well. I keep a job. I get into college. I learn.
Okay.
I learn.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I learn. I get a degree in communications with an emphasis on animation and 3D design.
Okay.
And got a job in the games industry in Seattle back in the late 90s.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I was an artist, moved up to lead artist and art director in
What
the video
games?
games industry.
Like
I
Mortal
worked on-
Kombat and stuff?
They were PC games, Dungeon Siege for Microsoft and Gas Powered Games, and then I went to ArenaNet and made Guild Wars
No kidding.
with Arena, big MMO games, and then I went to Nintendo and worked on some Mario franchise stuff and Metroid franchise stuff.
Oh, that's
Nice.
sick.
And I actually, I was never really good at keeping my mouth shut, and I got caught up in the political game at Nintendo because I got a really big chip on my shoulder because I realized if you weren't, Japanese, you're only going so far in that company.
Yeah.
And, I got into some political stuff, and when the economy tanked, they were like, hey, let's cut these mid six-figure guys. So I got kind of in this layoff rap. And so, in the worst economy in U.S. history, I don't have any money. I don't have any income. So I got offered a job to start a studio down here back in Chandler, actually. So I came down and did the interviews, and then they offered me the job. And I was like, well, screw it. I'm from Phoenix. I know Phoenix. I got family here. I love, at the time I loved the golf. So I came back. And
What year was this? 07?
This was 09.
09.
09 or 010.
A little into the recession.
Yeah, and I had met a girl 3 years into my recovery, and we hit it off, and she was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. But I wasn't at an emotional maturity level where I could maintain that relationship, even though I was 3 years sober and doing my best to live a spiritual life. You spend that many years using drugs and alcohol at the level that I did, that
Takes a while to heal.
well, you just stunt your emotional growth, right? You can't pick and choose the things you want to blot out. You want to blot out the pain and the abandonment stuff and all of the fucked up shit that you've done and that's happened to you. But when you're drinking and using, you just numb out everything.
That's heavy
So
shit.
I'd really stunted my emotional maturing.
Yeah.
And now I'm, at my age now, I'm actually going through the process of therapy and going through and paying a professional and working through stuff that I probably should have dealt with years ago.
Yeah,
and it's bringing a lot of stuff to light, but, I was in this marriage and this girl supported me and we moved down together and I had this new job and she had gotten I helped her get a job through the connections of the fellowship of AA. I introduced her to some people I knew, and she got a job at Solar City, which is now Tesla.
Oh,
in their solar program, and the company that I moved down here to help start the studio ended up the investors closed it down 3 years later.
Yeah.
So I was out of a job again, and that's kind of how making video games work. It's always project by project. I mean, every job I ever had, built up. I entered into a place at entry level, built up to a lead level or whatever. And then I'd get laid off or fired or whatever. I mean, I've been laid off or fired from every job I've ever had, working for the man.
Yep.
But she got this break into the solar industry that she was trying to get into renewable resources. Mm-hmm. And so when I lost that job, she had.
Were you guys still together?
Yeah. No.
At
Yeah.
that-
We were
at this
still.
time,
She
okay.
moved from Seattle with me. I met her in Seattle, and we moved down here so I could support us and do this thing. And at the time that I got down here, I was just looking to rent us a house, but I realized the houses were cheaper because the economy had tanked. Mm-hmm. The houses were cheaper to buy than they were to rent, so I just bought us a house and we moved to Tempe. And when that job that I had folded, I said, hey, I can find another job, but we might have to move again to California or Boston or wherever the hell I could get work. Or we can stay here and you can take a chance at your career. And we decided to do that,
Yep.
so she could have a chance to get her career off the ground. And so I didn't have anything to do, but at the time I had promised her before we got married that I would quit smoking. I use a pack and a half day Newport smoker actually.
Hey.
I promised her I wouldn't, and I quit using one of those old Ego style e-cigs that my uncle actually gave me.
No kidding.
And it worked.
I-16Bs?
Yeah,
The
I mean it
pens,
was
right?
the pen style ones, and it actually worked. And I vaped this thing, and I got up, and this is like 2010,
yeah.
2011, something like that. And I was like, oh my God, this thing, because I had tried to quit smoking a bunch of times, Shantix and whatever other bullshit, but I always went back. So this actually worked. I stayed off cigarettes. I was like, this is the wave of the future. And through my career in making games, I had saved about $150,000, and I just said, I'm gonna start a vape business.
Yeah.
It wasn't even called vape then; it was e-cigs. And I started back in 2012. I launched a vape business, Synergy Vapor Labs, and it just went gangbusters.
Yeah, no kidding.
Where'd the name Synergy come from?
Oh, I don't know. I was just making shit up. I needed a cool.
Well, it sounds cool.
Shit up. I just literally was just, what would be a cool word and have a cool acronym, and Vapor Lab sounded pretty cool. So Synergy being like, hey, your juice and your gear working together or some bullshit. I don't know. But it worked, and we had a cool logo made, so the company did gangbusters, did really well. It's still going today.
Yeah.
It's the market's really saturated, and it's way more competitive now, so it's harder to make a living that way. But I did really well with it, and just smart with the money, and investing and buying rentals and stuff like that.
So that's what you're doing now?
Yeah. I mean, now it's I had a dream when I started it, and I did so well in the first 4 or 5 years that I wanted, like, my dream was to retire young and golf every day. And the funny thing is be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. And now I'm in a place where I don't necessarily have to go to work to pay bills.
Yeah.
But now it's like it's like I'm looking for my next thing, because there's almost too much time on the hands.
What the fuck, dude? You told us these crazy fucking stories about being a wild kid. Now you're talking about early retirement and fucking golfing. And hey, you know what? I don't really need to go to work to pay the bills, but I'm a little bored right now.
Well, no, I mean it's one of those things, but it's amazing things. I mean, I've been sober 15 years now, right? So it's not like I haven't had my share of bad beats, and most of the heartbreak that I've experienced has been through being in sobriety, being in recovery, because now I can't, the struggles that I still have in my life today are relationships because of this stunted emotional maturing.
Yeah, I play poker with Lee a lot. He gets really upset with bad beats.
Yeah.
Like, they just bug him all night.
So I mean, at the end of the day, look, anything can happen if you're willing to work hard for it, and if you're staying clean. Like, generally, God's going to open some good doors. It doesn't matter who you are. It takes some ambition, it takes some intelligence. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm not the dullest either.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of pushing through some fear, especially when it comes to putting a whole bunch of money on the line. But generally, I think things are going to work out. For anybody who wants to put in the hard work, things are going to work out.
Well, and it sounds like you got the financial thing figured out, at least to me. Like, kind of listening to you, and then what you're talking about is you're not too risk adverse, and I can kind of correlate that to kind of how you were brought up and the things that you've been through and things like that. I wouldn't peg you as being risk averse. But then when you're talking about the relationships and things like that, what are you doing? You said you're going to therapy right now and working on those things.
Yeah. So basically, I made a few critical mistakes in that marriage, and she was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And she came from a great family, and she was just a wonderful person. But I had treated, like most things in my life, as accomplishments.
Yeah.
So I want to become a lead artist at Nintendo, or I'm going to, what I mean? I accomplish that, and then I fuck it off, right? This is the story of my life, right? I accomplish this great thing, and then I fuck it off. The big book AA talks about, like, we can build up these great structures and pull them down on our heads, right? Yeah. And it doesn't make any sense to people. And that's pretty much my story in or out of recovery. I still kind of have that tendency that I haven't figured out why I do that. Mm-hmm. But, we were married about 4.5 years, and she had taken a trip to Nepal. It was like a kind of philanthropy. She was putting solar systems on schools after the earthquake and stuff for Solar City, and she came back, and she was acting a little different. And I asked her, and I'm still very much in love with her. We'd been together 9 years, and I was happy in the marriage, and she was acting a little weird, and I thought she was going to say, I want to have a baby. And she said, I won't be in this marriage anymore. And it just blindsided me. I couldn't see it coming.
No shit.
Yeah. And so that marriage terminated really quickly. and she went off to go, find her happiness.
You guys work on trying to
Yeah,
keep her alive?
there was never. I didn't get a chance really.
No. She had made a decision.
Yeah, she had made a decision, and it was kind of unilateral, and she moved on. She had to do what she had to do for her own happiness, and so it's difficult to get to a place of acceptance about that.
No shit.
And
you guys have kids together?
no, we didn't have any kids.
Okay.
She wanted kids. I was like I've kind of had one, and I don't really want to do that again. And I should have been, again, I was kind of selfish, and I treated the marriage as almost like an accomplishment too, right?
Yeah.
I kind of achieved marriage, and then I compartmentalized it and put it on a shelf, and then I went off to focus on my
The next trophy.
my business, or I wanted to be in a golf club and get really good at golf, so I golfed every day, and so I kind of wasn't paying attention to the relationship.
Yeah.
And so she said deuces.
Well, let me ask you
And
this. Let me ask you this. What are you first? Like, if I was like, Lee, I hear you. It's like, you crushed it, man. You crushed it. A lot of us, like me, David, Chad, us sitting in here right now, it's like, I put a lot of emphasis on my work right now. I'm trying to create that financial stability, right? But first thing I think, I'm a husband right now. Obviously, I'm trying to be a good man, good character, trying to help people in the community. For you, what are you first? Like, when you think of yourself, what are you first?
Oh, that's a really good question. If I think about that today, so where I've always struggled the most is relationships, and especially relationships with women, right? Mm-hmm. I have a good heart, and I come from a good family, and I've figured out, how to live a sober life and be a good person out in the world. And I still work with others and go to meetings every week and do all that stuff as far as the recovery community is concerned. But, I know that I'm in a place now where I'm trying to exponentially grow on an emotional maturity level. I'm trying to get to a point with inner peace in myself. And, because a lot of that shit why we use and we run away, and like all of the behaviors of the past is like I just never felt worthy.
Yeah.
I could accomplish great things, but there was still a black hole inside, and then it never could be filled up. And so, trying to come to understand myself better, trying to really get to a place in my life where I love who I am. Mm-hmm. And that's never been something that I've had.
What do the actions look like to do that?
Well, I go to a daily yoga practice.
Okay.
I read the book. I work with other people.
Okay.
As far as like, in the recovery community
What
stuff.
does dating look like?
I'm not doing any of it really.
Are you intentionally not doing any of it?
I wouldn't say it's so much of intentional. I would say it's more happenstance. So the therapist that I'm seeing is great. It's really weird experience because I've been in a lot of therapy.
Right.
From the age of 10 to whatever. Uh-huh. But this is the first therapist I've ever worked with that's she's from New York. She's super in your face. Her bullshit meter is through the roof. She cannot blow smoke up this lady's ass.
Yeah.
And she just calls you how she sees it. And that's really helpful for me because I'm a very direct communicator. And if you try to sugarcoat shit, I just won't get the point. Mm-hmm. I went through that because I met a girl after the divorce, and after about a year and a half I thought I had healed, that I totally fell for, but she ended up being kind of had her own unhealed traumas from her past. Uh-huh. And I think we were both kind of broken, and it wasn't ever going to work, but I got kind of attached to it, because I built up a fantasy of this is what I want. Mm-hmm. So I kind of maybe fell in love with this fantasy of who this person was.
Yeah, fuck.
And push comes to head, and I got kind of treated poorly in that relationship a few times until I said, look, I have too much self-respect to remain in this anymore. And so that kind of terminated, and that's what kind of led to me going into therapy again to see, like, hey, well, how do I end up in these situations? Yeah. Because there were red flags along the way with this girl, but I wanted to paint them green. I was like, I'm so into her, like, I don't,
Yeah, we're gonna try and
she'll change, or I'll change her, or she's not really that way.
Yeah,
or,
and you're kind of overcompensating for the last thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's hard to figure out, right? It's hard to figure out because at the end of the day, like, I'm in the best financial place of my life, the best, physical shape of my life, the best mental space of my life, but yet I still can't make a relationship work. So it kind of leaves you scratching your head. Mm-hmm. So I'm not perfect by any means, and on the surface, everything may seem good, but there's still a lot of that. The difference between whole and whole, right? Okay. HWLE, right? Yeah. So I'm just working on the HWLE part. Yeah. I want to be really happy with who I am as a person. So then I can be, that person in someone else's life.
And if somebody was feeling like if they were connecting to what you were saying right now, where would you tell them to start?
It's an inside job, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. I don't have a recipe for this shit. I keep telling my therapist about the fucking blue pill. I can intellectualize all this stuff with relationships that we talk about in these, in these closed sessions. But, at the end of the day, I just don't understand.
Well, the thing is, though, you can be 100% healthy and you can still have a relationship that doesn't work. It doesn't, just because a relationship doesn't work doesn't mean that it's your fault or it's anyone's fault.
Well, yeah, totally true. But we tend to find a way that we can blame ourselves for it because, or at least I do, because then it gives me the illusion that it was something that was in my control, right? Yeah. So, just like my mom taking off when I was 3.5, I want to blame myself for it because that's something I control. If I would have done this different, if I would have done that different,
that was your fault.
Yeah, totally my fault.
Only your fault.
I suckled that titty too hard and bit the nipple off, and she just wasn't having it anymore.
You're a fucking wild kid, bro. I'm telling you right now, dude. You just blew my mind in this fucking second half because I judged the fuck out of you earlier. I was like, this dude's fucking wild. He's immature as fuck. But now you're dropping this, like, you're saying these things right now that I, on a very deep and personal level, relate with currently in my situation that I'm in right now. And I just want to thank you, dude. We're at an hour. We're going to cut it off, dude. And I didn't want to be here. I'm tired. Yeah. But you came in, man, and you were transparent and you were honest, and it was fucking beautiful, man. And I just want to thank you for that, dude. And like one quick thing, dude, is like what are 3 truths about yourself right now? How do you look at yourself right now? Give me 3 truths about yourself.
Putting you on the spot.
No, that is on the spot.
On the fucking cooker, dude.
Really, I think that the daily focus is find that fire inside again.
Yeah, okay.
Which basically in my professional life means what's my next thing? I got to get going. Is don't move too fast.
Don't move too fast.
And that just means when I meet someone, this is a new thing for me, right?
Okay.
So like I'm trying to get to know a woman before I go to bed with her, which is totally like the therapist. I'm talking to her about it. I'm like, she's like, why don't you get to know him first before you fuck him? And I'm like, well, you're saying put yourself in the friend zone?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, get to know him as friends. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. I've been trying to avoid the friend zone my whole fucking life. Like, I get the concept, but you're like, really? She's like, yes, that's when you're going to find something meaningful and deep and real. That's when you're going to have a connection. And I'm like, God, this is something I really haven't tried. So it's don't move too fast.
Find that purpose.
Yeah, but the harder one, right? And this is some super fluffy Brene Brown shit, really.
Yeah, pander it up.
But this is like really, because I have this armor on sometimes especially with females that I don't want to let them in. So it's really trying to just allow myself to be vulnerable and lean into it, even though I know I could get hurt.
Yeah.
To at least allow myself to have that experience and just have the emotional maturity that if something doesn't go my way, that, hey, I can accept it and move on to the next thing and be happy that I got the chance to have that experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, dude. The first half, and I mean, we're getting to know you. You know, I hadn't met you.
He was only 15 through the first half.
Well, yeah. I mean, what I'm saying though, even the way you present, like you deflect. You're a humor guy, and our last guest was the same way. Humor guy, real funny. But I'll tell you what, I like this guy a lot. You know, you're sitting down. The inside is fucking huge. You know what I mean? Just to listen to you and everything you've been through, because, you know, it holds weight, man. It holds fucking weight when you've been through and you're trying to figure out how to put together a strong relationship, even though it's not like you're unsuccessful at a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, the material shit is just material shit. It doesn't fix anything inside, and I've learned that 100.
People fucking chase it, though, man. People fucking chase it and can't put it together. And some of us, you know, can fall into beautiful relationships. Yeah,
I'd have given all that shit away to save my marriage.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in space. She was way more mature. She was advanced in an emotional maturity way that I wasn't even on the same level. She was in Wrigley Field, and I was trying to hit the ball off a T-ball stand. You know what I mean? So, you know, so I mean, the point is, like, probably the most important thing to me right now is trying to really exponentially grow in an emotional maturity level. Second stage recovery, right? Because I mean, I don't have that many years left to keep getting trapped in the same, you know, fuck the hot, you know, because what we all want, right, is we want a healthy relationship and a deep commitment, but we want the toxic relationship sex. Yeah. And that's the thing that I always get.
There you go.
That's what I always get hung up on.
All right, we're going to start over. We're going to start here, and we're just going to run it all the way. No, that's perfect, man. That's true. Yeah. You know, the lust, you're trying to balance the lust and the health all at once, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's a primal thing. Oof. And I've always probably misprioritized what I want as a man, right? Because what I really want, if I take away the bullshit, is a deep connection with someone who just loves me unconditionally and accepts me, right? That's what we all want as human beings.
Okay.
But you have to sprinkle in this lust, this primal need thing.
Yeah, that biological.
We want to get
drive,
weird.
dude.
We want to get weird.
Fuck yeah, monkey shit, bro.
I want to get weird. It's bad, and I take it to dark places. If someone says, "Hey, I'm a pretty open in the bedroom," I'm like, "Oh, let's hit Fascinations. I got a couple $100 on me right now. We're gonna get fucking weird."
Well, I appreciate it, man. I fucking appreciate it. We're gonna have to have you come on when if you're hitting some like big strides in this stuff. You have a new breakthrough. You come back over here, and we'll sit you back down, and we'll start right up where we left off, dude.
I'm open to it.
I hope even if you decompensate, you just come back, and we'll talk about that.
Damn, dude. Again, thank you very, very much to our listeners, to our loyal members of the matriarchy. This was the last week out, episode deuce.
Deuces.
Don't forget to
Deuce.
like, subscribe, comment, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all the platforms. Is this mic working?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't sound. I can't hear it, so that's
We
weird.
love you
Check-
guys.
Anyways.
Hey, turn my shits up. Turn my shits up.
Hey, more bass, more bass in the bomb, bruh.
I can't hear my shits.
Hey, I can't my shits, dog. Hey, I love you guys.
Yeah.
Mwah.
See you next week.
Later. Deuces.
Deuces.
Deuces.